Hello and welcome
Hello, everyone.
to the Eric and Liz show. What a week.
Yes, it's been one of those weeks, I tell you.
One of those weeks, on one side, you've been very, very busy with your collection and your son is in town.
Yes, my son is in town for a couple of weeks and I have been busy working on a new collection. Even though we did a soft launch for the luxury silk scarves, I'm still working on some spring and summer colors. So we're going to be doing some, really cool videos and photo shoots. And we're going to let you know what we have in store. So you can, hopefully purchase. You can have one, add one to your collection.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think I was the first buyer.
Yes, you were. You and another gentleman, and the orders are just coming in. People are just, they're purchasing, and I'm really, really pleased with it.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, they're very pleased.
Tell our viewers, please go on Liz's website because the scarves, they are just beautiful. And I mean, you like silk, it's great. And I love that one piece, the large one that you can even use as a dress.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Yes. I've been getting a whole lot of feedback too. I've been getting messages and, people have been saying that they love them. They love the quality. And that's, that's really important that you have a really good quality product that, you can give. Yes.
I mean, there's so many things we wanted to talk about at the beginning of the show. And it was funny, our time kind of ran away. So I don't want to let our special guest wait. And maybe we talk of the things we wanted to talk of at the end of the show.
Okay, that sounds good.
So
really good quality product.
Yeah. This is Jordan. Jordan, how are you? Can you hear us? It was funny, our time kind of ran away. So I don't want to let our Jordan guest. And there
wow.
At the end of that looks more like King Jordan. So
all right.
This is Jordan. How are you?
Hey, Eric. How you doing? Hi, Liz. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too, Jordan. I love that backdrop. That's really cool. I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
And is there somewhere in the background is our live show running? Have it on by any chance? Because I'm hearing like a back.
Sounds like an echo.
Yeah.
Eric, how you doing? Hi, Liz. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too. That's really cool.
There we go.
You see, it's like we have that echo.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
So you're watching us live and live.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure when I was going to be pulled on, so I just went to your live show.
Okay. Okay.
That's good.
So is that your logo? Is that your logo?
Yeah, that's kind of like part of our logo for royalty staffing. Yeah, it's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it.
Very Eric and Liz like.
I know, it matches your colors.
Yeah.
But now we kind of dived already into it, but I wanted to introduce you. Jordan Wilkinson, CEO of Royalty Staffing. You happen to be located here in San Diego, but you also operate in Palm Springs and
Orange County.
Orange County.
But we've kind of pulled back. What we've done is we started royalty staffing about 17 years ago. So we supply, it's all hospitality based, servers, bartenders, cooks, dishwashers. We work with major hotels, caterers, country clubs, Petco Park, private businesses, individuals. We tried to go outside of San Diego, but we decided instead of expanding vertically, we decided to kind of pull back into San Diego. I bought out my business partner about 2 years ago. And most recently, the nice thing about the pandemic is I had a really good chance to kind of look at the business and see, you know, where are we going? I mean, there's been a lot of new competition coming on board. A lot of these they have a lot of app-based competition now. Yeah. And the biggest thing I decided, and this was kind of funny, I was looking at the San Diego Business Journal and I started looking at other staffing companies. I mean, we're doing well, but then I started looking at the top 5 or 10. I'm seeing 160 million, 140 million. I'm like, wait, I'm not doing something right here. So then what came to me is, why am I just hospitality? That's all it's so funny how you can get so focused to me that one lane. Like, that's all we've been doing for 17 years. So we made the decision at the end of 2019, we're going to expand and become a full service agency. So just as we were getting started, we're just getting ready to launch it. We started a new website, new flyers. You know, I got a brand new, you know, EIN number. Everything was good to go, and then COVID hit. We tried, you know, back in October, we tried for about 2 months to sell to everything else, because obviously hospitality isn't even close to being open yet as far as banquets and large gatherings go. But, you know, we tried a couple months to sell everything else, but it was just too hard because you couldn't even get into an HR office, you know? So we're getting ready to relaunch, you know, I think we're shooting for April 1st, not the hospitality side, because that's going to come back. I mean, who knows, probably June, July, August, I would say. But everything else, we're excited. We're going to go after doctors and lawyers and, you know, engineers. And it's so exciting because it's like a brand new opportunity for us, you know?
I mean, the may I call it the temp industry?
Yeah.
You know, was actually really expanding anyhow, because so many businesses, they need, you know, it's like a short-time CEO even, or you would need a CFO. So even, you know, pretty high-paying jobs. I mean, manpower really here in San Diego, I think, is the leader, or definitely was. I mean, I don't know how they're doing now, but they had specialized in that field that you're attacking now. And I think it's a good thing, you know, to have also a healthy competition. You know, yeah. I know you as a people's person.
Yeah.
So I can see, you know, that it's also about attracting the right talent. And it's so funny that many HR departments, human resource departments, actually changed their name into talent seekers or talent department. It seems funny, but the reality is, you know, you have people who have a job but don't have the talent to have the job.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because I mean, for one, we're not going to be just temporary anymore, because we've always been 99.9% temporary staff. So now within those other fields, we're going to go after both temporary, but more importantly, the permanent side of it. But you bring up a good point, the people side of it. The reason I started this company was when I first came to San Diego, I can't remember, 20 plus years ago. I worked for a staffing agency, and I was just shocked. You know, I was kind of very surprised how they treated their clients and how they treated their staff. And that's, you know, I always said to myself, I'd always been kind of entrepreneurial, but I thought this would be really exciting to start something. But my main focus has always been, you've got to treat your staff well, and you've got to treat your clients well. You just have to go above and beyond, which I find a lot of companies, especially as they get bigger and bigger, they really get away from that.
So
right.
speaking about that, that you're pretty entrepreneurial. You didn't start your life in hospitality. You had a couple of stages you went through before you actually arrived there.
Yeah, I mean, I started off, I went to North Carolina University undergrad. I got my business degree. I started in San Francisco. I transferred to, University of South Carolina. So I had a nice background, but then right out of college, I think I was one of those people, and I feel like there's more people in that today, that I just really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I mean, I had a great education, but I'm like, what do I want to do with this? And then I kind of moved back to to where I was from, Charlotte, North Carolina. My grandfather had a connection at a stockbroker firm, and he kind of, parents and grandparents can be like, it's time to go get that job. So although my whole life I've been in hospitality, serving, a little bit of management, things like that, which I really enjoyed, I also felt like I really do need to use, the education that I got. So I started off as a stockbroker for a couple of years. I mean, it was a great learning experience. I'm definitely still using the knowledge I got in that. However, I wouldn't say I'm a shy person, but I just wasn't the kind of person I enjoyed, as a stockbroker. We had to call 180 people every single day. And it's pretty intense when you call in people during their dinner hour, and the guy's like, you're the fourth person that called me in the last hour. It was a very interesting experience, but it was a great learning experience. It kind of brought me out of my shell a little bit. And then from there, I went to the vice president of investment bank for about a year. And that's right before I came back to California. I enjoyed the business world, but the one thing I really missed was the interaction in the hospitality. I feel like you don't see that as much in the business world. I mean, hospitality, pretty much every place you work, those people become your best friends. You go out with them. It's such a social environment, and I really miss that. So, right now, personally, although I own a pretty nice sized business, it's funny. My friends laugh at me, but I still work in the industry. I work at a restaurant, Huntress Steakhouse downtown, 3 nights a week, and then I've been working at the convention center for about 20 years. So in normal times, I'm working 70, 80 hours a week, and people think I'm crazy, but I enjoy it,
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool. I have a question.
Yeah.
Hospitality business, do you guys offer training as well? Do they come to you trained?
Well, we try to hire, generally, we want people that have at least a year's experience. However, a lot of people, it's hard to get that first job. So a lot of people are going to kind of fudge their resumes a little bit. When we do, when we go through the interview process, we're very picky. We start off with a phone interview, then they come into a formal interview. Then we do some training right after that. But a lot of people coming through, you can just tell they could do it, So somebody may come in as, applying as a busser or a food runner or a dishwasher. However, sometimes you're like, wait a second, this guy's somebody special. And we definitely try to train that person and bring him up to par. And then we tell our captain, we're really picky where we would put somebody like that, not one of our high-end clients. And then, we partner with somebody, and generally that seems to work out really well. And it's great to take somebody that's coming in, at a lower level and kind of bring them up to have a chance to make more money. And generally, we really, most people don't stay with us very long. We're really that in between, that bridge between, San Diego is such a weird city. There's so many new people that come to San Diego every year, especially in the wintertime. I'll be doing interviews and we go around the room, and I'd say 80% of the people are not from San Diego. They come from Chicago and from New York, And the funny thing is, they come out to San Diego, they have pretty much no money in their pocket. And they're just open to come to San Diego and get that first job. And it's not easy. There's so much competition here. Because, I think there's 250,000 students in San Diego. So it's really, really difficult to get that first job. So we tend to be that bridge. We get a lot of new people, a lot of people that are in between jobs. And then the fun thing is the people that do stay with us, some people really enjoy the diversity. Instead of going to one job every day and seeing the same, 20, 50 people, you work for us, you go all over the county, you meet so many new people. So it's a great first job when you come to a new city, because you're going to get to know hundreds and hundreds of people. And I always tell people, you can shop yourself. Go work at the hotel. Go work at the caterer. If you like them and they like you, you just have them give me a call. And, you know, after a certain amount of time, you know, we were having different agreements with our clients. You know, we'll transfer you over there, you know?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. So, and I have another question because, you know, to me, hospitality is so very important. You know, nowadays, people can pretty much talk to you and kind of say anything, basically. So how do you guys, what are some tips that you guys have that you train, you know, your people to do as far as, you know, hospitality? Because there's no limit on how people can treat you these days. I hate to say that, but you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I came from the South, from North Carolina. So I'm all about Southern hospitality. So one of the things we do is we tell everybody, it's not, hey, what's up, dude? Hey, what's going on? It's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You know, we talk about, you know, about grooming. I mean, it's amazing some of the grooming standards that are acceptable out here compared. I feel like on the East Coast, it's a little bit more formal. I mean, we have people coming in interviews all the time with flip-flops on, with t-shirts. And I mean, I feel like, you know, an interview's an interview. I mean, in California, it's definitely a little less, you know, strict. I mean, in the East Coast, you wouldn't, you know, especially management, you would never, ever show up without a coat and a tie. But on the West Coast, it's different. You know, ties really aren't quite as required because it's a little bit hotter out here. But it's all about, we try to instill Southern hospitality into our staff, and then, you know, more so into our management, and definitely our captains, the ones that are in charge at the event itself, to kind of keep an eye on everybody. And we want to, you know, when we walk in, for example, when we walk into, I mean, a hotel like Eric, you know, was it the Westgate that you worked at? I mean, we are not, you know, royalty hospitality staffing. We are, you know, we have to pretend to be Westgate employees. You don't say, if a guest asks you, oh my God, who do you work for? We're not going to say royalty. We're going to say the Westgate. So we have to blend in. So whatever the standards are for any of our clients, we're required to have that same kind of standard or portray that standard.
Actually, that's very interesting you're bringing up that point, because some people might not realize that you're also a helper. You know, I say it in parentheses, because, you know, sometimes business in hotels fluctuate. And so you might have, you know, say 15 people in the banquet department, and then you have that big party and you need actually 40 service people. So that's where then Jordan would come in and would furnish you with those waiters that you need. And yeah, they have to fit into that team. And that's, how should I say, that's the magic, you know, that's where the training come in, and that the client can actually not tell the difference between the stuff which is working for the hotel and the stuff which comes actually from his company.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And at the same time, for the client's perspective, I mean, it's a cost saving, because you can think about it, like you just said, a hotel that normally has 15 people, and let's say 4 times throughout the month, they may need 40. Well, on average, I mean, it varies from anywhere from 1 to 3,000. I think casinos spend the most money on hiring and training. Hotels average anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 just to hire one person, to get them in the system. They train them. So if they had to bring on 40 people, you know, just because there's 4 weeks throughout the year, those people are going to quit because they need more, you know, more consistent work. So that, you know, it's a whole lot cheaper to bring somebody like us in. I mean, you know, they're paying us a little bit more than they're paying them, except obviously we don't make gratuity, but it's a whole lot, you know, it's cost effective for the client, you know, to supplement their staff with temporary staff, than going out and hiring an additional 25 people just for 4 separate days, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, you're a very competitive individual. So I had to go and find out a little bit more.
Uh-oh.
And there suddenly, I see, oh, you like judo.
I was just going to say, yeah, I was reading that too.
And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's obviously something that usually, the first thing when I hear judo, it's actually Vladimir Putin comes to my mind because, he is that guy, who prides himself, being a black belt. But you've been pretty competitive, and funnily enough, not for the US.
Now, judo is a fun story because it's weird how each country has different, as you know, like soccer overseas, each country has their own specific sports. And when I grew up we lived in Holland, in Rotterdam for, my dad was the international Hilton director. So we lived inside the Rotterdam Hilton, which is great for a kid. I mean, you make a phone call, you get room service. I mean, it was great. But in Holland, my parents they tried ballet. That didn't work out very well because as young men, it just didn't seem like something we were interested in. So the next thing they tried was judo, which in Holland and England are very, very large. So we did, me and my brother, Christian, we did judo for 8 years in Holland, and we moved to England. And both in Holland and England, we trained with the national teams. So, I mean, we were, doing extremely well with that sport. We loved it. But then we moved back to the mountains of North Carolina, to Boone, North Carolina. There's no judo in Boone, North Carolina. So they had karate, and then in the high schools, you had wrestling. So we decided, we tried a little bit of karate, but we ended up doing wrestling because there was no judo. And we did that both in high school, and then when I went to University of North Carolina, we did that in college too. So yeah, I'm very competitive, but I also love sports, so.
Wow. How do you love baseball?
I'm a huge baseball fan. If I turn my screen here, you would see Petco Park. We look right down on the Petco Park, and we have half-season tickets every year. So we're so excited about April 1st going to the opening game.
Yeah, that's a great thing that, there's some, how shall I say, social activity starting where at least you can see yourself. I mean, I was a little bit surprised how crowded the city was this weekend. It's like we're going from a nearly empty city to suddenly back to normal, but you're not back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, I went out yesterday for St. Patty's Day, and what I noticed is they have this one unique thing. The people that put on, I believe it's called Wanderlust, or it's the festival on the bay, and they got a double-decker bus, and they started in LA. They basically put a band on top of it, and they started in LA and did 3 hours there, and then they came to San Diego. They were just kind of driving around. They would stop in front of a bar. So we were in front of American Junkie, and they stopped there. They played for 20 minutes, and the energy of the crowd around them, it almost felt like somebody took, you've been being put down for so long, and it was just gone. It was such relief. Everybody was so happy. I mean, restaurants opening up indoors. I mean, music's finally coming back. I saw today in New York that Governor Cuomo is starting concerts April 1st. I mean, it's like we're getting back to normal. I'm the kind of person that I do a lot of social. I mean, I go to a lot of concerts. We go to a lot of games. We go to Del Mar racetrack. And it's just, I mean, we were missing so much. I mean, we're so excited about this year. There's going to be so many fun opportunities to go out this year,
Right, that's for sure. You didn't really know what it was like until it was kind of like taken away from us. But we're just so happy to be back out again. And like you said, they're opening back up sort of kind of halfway, but it's getting there. And that makes a difference.
I heard a very strange comparison today, but I thought, and mulling over it and thinking over it, we might see a phenomenon. It's like during the Spanish flu, and now we're really going back 1917.
It's back in your day.
Actually, the 20s came, 1917, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And then the 20s came, and America went from really being depressed and, you know, that tragedy, to one of the culture centers of the world. So I wonder if maybe this tragedy really that we are living right now is going to maybe bring something similar.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think even a simple example of that double-decker bus yesterday, that wasn't a one-time thing. I mean, I've never seen a band on top of a double-decker bus. Like for an event, that's something they were talking about. They're going to start with one bus. Now they're going to do 10 buses. They're going to go all over California. But it's great for like a wedding or a special event, especially if you don't have the space. You just pull your double-decker bus up, the band's right on top, and you're good to go. I mean, people come up with so many. I mean, Zoom didn't really.
Right.
Well, I mean, the issue, we take the double-decker buses with the band, we take the food trucks, and
exactly.
Hey, you have your perfect event, and you just need a lot of stuff to clear to keep it clean.
Right. People are really, really thinking outside of the box. We have to, you know, we have to continue to reinvent ourselves and think of ways, you know, that I guess is appropriate, but, you know, you have to think outside the box now. And that, what you just said, putting a band on the bus, I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. That's cool. I could imagine that.
Exactly. I'm always trying to think of the new ideas, you know. This is a perfect time. I mean, I'd say the first couple months, everybody really enjoyed it because you're getting, you know, when we first shut down, it was kind of fun, actually, especially for somebody that's working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week. But then after a while, you're like, oh my God, you can only handle so much of this. And that's when, you know, we personally, as a company, we took a step back and we looked at every piece of the business, you know, hiring, training, you know, and it was a really nice chance to take a step back and, you know, start thinking of, you know, improving things you've done before, but also like for example with us, I mean, it's a huge step, right? We're going to go from a one industry temporary staffing agency to a full service temporary and full service staffing agency. I mean, it's a huge, I never would have thought of that, you know, going into this whole thing, you know?
But I think that also your business, I mean, pure from a hospitality staffing point of view, is going to pick up again in a very positive way, because the way I'm looking at it and seeing what's happening in the hotels, they might not rehire full time for the next 8 to 12 months. So they are going to need that bridge time and that staff they're counting or can count on, you know, when they have those larger events. And the events are going to happen. I think we're going to see an event explosion, saturation, plateau, and eventually going back to normal. But I think till people have really partied out, that's going to take a while. I mean, you know, when I see everybody who turned 20, 21, 22 during this year, they really had no opportunity to go wild.
That's a really good point. A little bit unlike, and we had a similar situation in our company back during the financial recession. It was a 2008-ish or so. Yeah. That came back a lot slower because that was more, a lot of people lost money, you know, so it was a very huge financial thing. This is more, people have been, you know, held back from doing things they normally like to do. So the way I'm kind of hoping, and the way I kind of see this, you know, progressing would be, I think catering companies are going to come back fastest. I've talked to the 9 of the top 10 catering companies in the last couple of months, and except for one company, I'm not sure what they did, but except for one company, every company told me not one client had canceled. Every single client had moved it forward. So like, if you want a wedding in 2021, starting around the summertime, probably for a year to a year and a half, you're not going to find a venue on a weekend. because they were already booked out, and then they just
Right.
added this on top of that. So I think catering companies will come back first. Hotels a little bit slower because it takes some time. It takes them more time to organize it. And the convention center, they were trying to open the first week of July, but then once they canceled Comic-Con, I think they've changed the first meeting ESRI to a virtual meeting. But it looks like come August, I mean, it's going to be gangbusters. And definitely for the next year or two, it should be the same way. One last thing. I always thought that things were going to really slow down in the convention business. I mean, everybody I know was saying, okay, it's not going to come back right away. Everybody's, working virtually. But then I read this really interesting article last week that said this was actually a hedge fund betting on the exact opposite. That's going to get way busier. And the rationale is very unique. The rationale was all these people, they're not working in an office together anymore, seeing each other every day. John's working here, she's working there. So they're not interacting with each other. So maybe it's going to be way more beneficial to bring them together 3 or 4 times a year because they haven't seen each other, So, I mean, it could be, next year could be really exciting. I mean, I'm very excited about the end of the second half of this year, but next year could even be better, which I would not have guessed, 3 months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
And that you totally have a point there, with people working virtually. I just through past connections, I'm hearing it, they want to go back, they want to meet people. They don't mind that much working actually from home, but it's when it comes really to that networking, the social factor, I think, is playing a role.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, the one thing we do is, we go to roughly 8 different organizations, not necessarily every single month, but we go to, Meeting Planners International and American Bridal Consultants. There's so many different meetings we go to. And I mean, it's social, but it's also, we meet a lot of clients, that way. I mean, the best example I have is I tried to get into a couple of the bigger hotels downtown, the Hyatt Manchester, the Marriott Marina. And I mean, you cannot get in front of those people if you try. The bigger properties, you just can't get in front of somebody because they're too busy or they have too many, what do you call it? I mean, people blocking you on the way. But then, we belong to the San Diego Hotel Motel Association. And there's randomly one day I'm looking to my left and there's a general manager of the Hyatt Manchester and then the general manager of the Marriott Marina, and to my right is the manager of the ship. I mean, these are, they're social, but they're also great business opportunities.
Well, let's talk about business.
I know.
No, I think it's good, and I'm glad, that we were able to, be a little more upbeat today, like in general, that, that silver lining seems to be reappearing, for more and more people. Weirdly enough, in America, things never seem to be playing out like in the rest of the world. I hope it's going to stay so in a way, because when you see what's happening in Europe now, that Italy had to go back, shut down, and then those really weird things happen. It's like within Germany, you cannot travel, go on vacation. Within Spain, you can't go on vacation, but Germans are allowed to fly to the Canary Islands, and go on vacation. And the Spaniards are totally mad because they cannot fly to the mainland. So it's just interesting, I think there's going to be also a lot of political outflow afterwards, how people have handled certain things. I think it's going to be like really a reawakening.
Yeah, no, I think it's very interesting. And to me, the strangest thing still is to see the different numbers in each country. I mean, if you would ask me, I would have guessed India would be the worst or Brazil would be the worst because of the number of people that are close together. And I mean, I never would have thought we would be the worst. You know, I don't know, not say the worst, but it's so unique to see how each country handled this so differently. And some have done, you know, a lot worse. Some have done a lot better. But I mean, you're right. There's so many, you know, unique opportunities, you know, I mean, the most unique thing I think I found over the last couple of months is how many younger people have finally learned how to invest in the stock market. Like I know so many people. I mean, you've heard of Robinhood, right? Nobody heard of Robinhood 2 years ago. I mean, I'm talking like a busser at a restaurant I work with, or you know, a dishwasher in the back, and they're pulling out their phones and they're checking their stocks and stuff. So I think the one thing it's done is I feel like we really have in America anyway, there's very bad financial information. I mean, they have business classes, but that's kind of geared if you're going to go into business, into marketing, or into sales. But there's very little. I mean, just like, you know, America could probably use a lot more, you know, psychological change instead of just psychology. You talk about positivity and, you know, especially on the financial side, kids coming out of high school or college have no idea, you know, what a stock is, what a mutual fund is. And now they pull out their phone and they're trading while they're in class.
Right, exactly.
I think long-term that's going to provide, you know, it's a huge benefit that's going to help everybody. You know, I don't know if it's going on in other countries, but I know in America, I mean, everybody I know now is trading stocks, which before nobody, I mean, that I knew was doing it, you know?
Right, exactly.
I think that many other countries are probably not that advanced. Funnily enough, China is, which surprises me, you know, but
really?
on the other hand, you know, they in the past 20 years, I mean, they changed the country.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, the most populous country, which is like, and all the investments in the infrastructure, you know, just amazing. So seeing that America might or wants to go down that street can only be positive. But of course, here things are harder to move, which is not a bad thing because I prefer to frankly live in a democracy, you know, where I have my freedom, or I can choose to myself.
You're right. There's so many different ideologies. I mean, when I think of communism, I think communism could be perfect, but it just doesn't work in practice. I think I grew up in Holland is a socialist country. I mean, in Holland, everybody is guaranteed housing. Everybody is guaranteed medical care. Everybody's guaranteed a free education. So, I mean, coming from Holland to America, it was kind of shocking because I was expecting that was just going to all be given to me, you know. And coming to America is, you know, way more, you know, industrial, or, you know, I mean, you got to fight for it, but you know, if you do a good job, you know, you can succeed. Go ahead.
No, the thing is, because it's very interesting because you speak of socialism here. I think there's a misconception, you know, about, you know, I lived in Europe too.
Yeah.
Like you did. And people just grow up with giving, you know, when I was working in Germany, I mean, 49% of my salary would go to the state, and they then would distribute it.
Yeah.
You know, to all different kinds of, yeah. It's like when you say healthcare is free in Europe. No, healthcare is not free in Europe, but through your paycheck, you know, you contribute to it. So you know, it's taking out of the base. So the mentality is already different because you never see that money. So here you get the money and then it's taken away from you. So that's hard. That hurts. So I understand, you know, that, oh my God, you know, how can I evade taxes as much as possible? Because it's and that sounds funny, but if it would be taken out at the very beginning, you know, it wouldn't hurt that much.
Yeah.
Right.
And then at the end of the year, you know, you do your taxes, you get money back, you're happy. But they don't go back and take more taxes away from you because they already took it away from the get-go.
Right. I think our tax system is a mess, as we all know. I mean, I've always thought the simplest solution would just be a simple sales tax. I mean, every time you spend $1, you get taxed. We have so many different kinds of taxes. I mean, to me, it's a little crazy how if I go home to North Carolina, I'm spending $1.99 for gas, and here I'm spending $3.99.
Right.
And there's, you know, estate taxes and capital gains tax, and there's so many different taxes.
So many.
And the IRS is so overloaded. They just extended the tax deadline from April to May because they just keep up. Yeah. So in my mind, simplify it. You just have a simple sales tax. Every time I spend $1, I mean, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, but at least you know what it is. It's so, right now, if you ask when I'm paying taxes, I have absolutely no idea. I'm paying taxes, paying taxes there. And it seems like it's normally going up, you know?
Yeah, and you know, that's also funny because people have the perception that things are more expensive in Europe. No, they are not. They just include the tax in your sales price.
Yeah.
So when you see something is costing $1.20, it's going to cost you $1.20 and not $1.20 plus tax.
Plus, yeah.
So, speaking of Europe too, I mean, that's one other thing too is I've heard, I mean, a lot of people are going to start traveling. And I think a lot of people that hadn't thought that, I mean, people are just so busy, you know, now they've had some time to reflect. And I think, you know, overseas travel is just going to explode. I mean, people have been thinking they may be sitting on the computer and they'll be looking at Paris or something. But before they're so busy doing all this, I may go, you know, one state over. But I think once all these travel restrictions, you know, I mean, I want to go to Southern Europe. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to, I mean, I'm so ready to travel right now. It's building, you know?
Well, yesterday, for the first time, I heard that expression, revenge travel. You know, and I had to laugh, you know, because I was like, yeah, okay, I can put my hand around that, you know, going revenge traveling.
Me too.
I know. I saw a world cruise the other day, and I started thinking. I mean, just thoughts that you would never have before. Like, I mean, I got lucky. I did pretty well the last year or two in the stock market. I had some time to focus on it. I'd never thought about, you know, traveling around. But now I started thinking, okay, 180 days or something, maybe. You know, I mean, it sounds enticing.
If you can, why not? It would be an opportunity lost.
Exactly.
Well, you know, especially, you know, you work a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, I did the same. And then came that moment, you know, where I was looking backwards. I was like, oh my God, all that time I didn't spend with my family. All that time I didn't travel. And so, you know, I adjusted my life, you know, to that.
Yeah.
And that's not such a bad thing.
It's not.
And again, speaking about socialism, you know, having 5 to 6 weeks vacation, that's something that here in America we can't even imagine. But guess what? That's built in there. You know, you have to take 5, 6, certain European countries, 7 weeks vacation, plus the 24 holidays that they have. So when you suddenly start calculating, oh crap, you know, they get 2.5 months vacation, paid vacation.
I know. It's such a different, it's a very different world. I mean, America's going away from we used to have a lot of benefits. I mean, everybody I heard, I used to hear in the old days would have like a, you know, a 401k or retirement plans and stuff. And now, I mean, it doesn't happen anymore. I mean, like in our industry in hotels specifically, everybody I knew used to have a full-time position. Okay. I mean, at least in banquets, those don't exist anymore. I mean, there may be on the banquet staff of maybe 200 people at the Hyatt or the Marriott. They may have 5 full-time people. It's all part-time. And the reason they do that is because their healthcare costs are so out of control. They just can't afford it. So, I mean, that's been the biggest shift I've seen in the last 10 years in hospitality is, you know, the move from full-time positions where you had, you know, access to either stock options or retirement plans, get health insurance to, you know, everybody's part-time, you know, either or on call. It's really shifted here.
Exactly. And I think that's the sad part with, you know, being full-time and part-time. They just don't want to give you the benefits. Yeah. And it's really, it's not fair to the, you know, folks who really need the benefits and the money, you know?
No, and I agree with that. And I mean, our healthcare costs are, as Eric knows, probably triple, quadruple.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, I don't behoove or feel bad for a doctor making $1 million a year as a heart surgeon, but there's got to be some balance. I mean, our costs are so out of control.
Yeah, it is.
Most people, I mean, especially in our industry, in hospitality, most people I know, you know, do not have health insurance. You know, and they've added this covered California now, which really is helpful. But I found that generally, if you get the healthcare, they'll use it. But if they have to pay for it, I'd say 90% of people I know don't have healthcare right now. You know?
Wow, I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
and that's, you know,
crazy.
That's driving up the cost of the healthcare, and people don't see that because everybody who doesn't have insurance still, I'm not 100% sure if it was under Bill Clinton, but it's always interesting, you know, which laws came under which president. But you know, the hospital has to treat you, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
However, they also absorb the cost.
Yeah.
So that means if we 3 pay and the 4th person doesn't pay, pay for that 4th person.
Yeah.
Right.
So the system is just very badly explained to people. I think there should be just more education on how our healthcare system works, because if we would share the cost, of course, then it's socialistic idea. No. If we all contribute into the pot, we all get something back instead of, you know, having to absorb the cost of all the people which don't have health insurance. Yeah. So I think the idea of the Obama administration to have the universal health care was definitely a good one. The execution, that was a different story, but you know, this is politics. Since healthcare is more or less privatized in this country, they dictate prices. That I can have the same surgery, heart surgery, say in Germany for 25% of the price than it's here.
Yeah.
You know, I had 60% of my colon removed. Well, guess what? They billed my health insurance over $140,000.
Yeah. Ooh, it's crazy, right?
You know, and I don't want to say that my life is not worth it. You know, I'm happy. I'm grateful. You know, I'm happy.
It's crazy.
But if you put it in context,
yeah,
you can't. You really can't.
No, I know. And let's go back to what we talked about earlier, looking at, you know, the balance between like a socialist country and a capitalist country. I'm trying to figure out like a charity. I want to get involved a little bit more charity, especially for our company to start donating percentage of profits and things like that. And I start at the beginning when I look at, you take a person, what's the first thing they need? They need food. Okay. And then they need housing, and then they need healthcare. You have to figure out, you know, what the order is and what the most important things are. But I'm looking at downtown San Diego, and I mean, they're getting better. The nice thing about the convention center is, I mean, they found housing for almost 1,000 people. But then I started thinking, how much more would it take? How many more homeless people are out there? And I think the last count was 18,000, but obviously there's a way undercounted. And I started doing some basic math, because I mean, you've seen those new small houses they develop. And they can build these little tiny houses like for $10,000. I saw up in LA they're using like those big tankers, the big crates. And I started thinking, we have several extremely wealthy people in San Diego, like multi-billionaires. And how much would it really take to get one big plot of land and put maybe 1,000 and the cost really, they're doable. It's just not focused correctly. Yeah.
Right. I've heard about that. I've heard that they were actually illegal.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a really good idea because I've seen pictures and, they're very nice and very, efficient,
But put it that way, that's probably a zoning issue. Where you can't, it's like here in Chula Vista, you can't buy a piece of land and put a mobile home on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that comes down to...
Which would be so much more cost effective because there are some cool mobile homes out there. But, well, right now we really dove into politics, which we actually didn't want to do on the show. But nevertheless, I'm going to do a short wrap up here.
Okay.
Here we are, 1, 2, 3 self-employed people.
Yeah.
In America, there is an opportunity you have really nowhere else in the world. And that's where the difference is.
Yeah.
It's, you can really fulfill your dream. And I really, really believe that American dream still exists. Some people might think, yeah, but no. It's if you have it in you and you want to do it and you want to push for it, this is the country of opportunity because our regulations that we have to be a business owner are the lowest anywhere in the world. Liz, if tomorrow you want to open a restaurant, you can open it. You can do. Try to do that in Europe.
Really?
Wow.
This is you can be an owner, but you can't be an owner-operator. You can be an operator. Well, because you didn't go to, in Europe, you have to go to hotel school, you have to have X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. It's just, I always take that example. If in Germany, you want to be a window washer, you have to do a 3-year apprenticeship. And if you don't do that, you cannot have it, period.
Wow.
What you're saying is very true. The one thing I want to add to that would be because those opportunities are out there, I think the word hope is important. I think you can hope to achieve that. Whereas in those countries, you may give up. Whereas here, if I know I can achieve anything, everybody's had obstacles, but you got to be persistent. You just never give up and you just fight. And I think that opportunity is definitely here. And like you said, probably not in a lot of other countries. We just don't know as much about them,
Well, here people are born in the system.
Yeah.
And this is like everywhere else. When you're born in the system, you don't necessarily see the opportunity.
Exactly.
And I think that's why, America is such a successful immigration country.
Yeah.
Even if, you can say whatever you want and, no, we want to keep them outside. No. Immigrants have always been a driving force of this country.
Yeah.
It's, and that spirit, I think, is very, very important. And what's funny is I'm looking at you and something else pops into my mind, reparation. I think because of what happened and how Americans became wealthy, well, guess what? I think there is a historic debt to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that myself. Absolutely.
You know, it's like there, and you know, they allowed Indians to build casino, which I think it's a very cheap and sneaky way of giving them the opportunity to self repair, which I think
Right.
is ours.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it's an opportunity for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there too, you know, with the slavery and everything what happened, you know what? Hey, they didn't. I mean, it's wrong, but it happened. America became a very wealthy country, and you know we can say we because we're all three Americans.
Right. Some people don't agree, but you know, that's what the
Of course,
problem
some
is.
people don't agree, but lots of people also don't know their history. So
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly.
That's true. No, I agree.
you know, you know, it's let's see. It was for me what was very interesting that for the first time ever, a week ago, uh, past President Obama acknowledged that they should be, reparation.
Mm-hmm.
When we're starting to see, I've been reading over the last couple of weeks, I've seen 2 or 3 big companies. I can't remember their names. They're talking right now, which is some kind of reparation, which is interesting.
Sorry, John, you froze up like for 30 seconds.
No, it's interesting. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of talk about that now. You know, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I mean, that's a great analogy. I mean, you're right with American Indians. I mean, talk about casinos. I mean,
right.
That definitely helped out. I think a lot of thought has to go into it. Maybe not even necessarily financial, maybe opportunity. You know, I mean,
opportunity and historically Black colleges and you know,
definitely
that type of wealth is very important.
No, and also, you know, just simply, you know, to state the fact when African Americans came to America during those times, it wasn't voluntary.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Right. For sure.
Well, I mean, I love this idea of free college. I mean, that is a European idea for a lot of people, but yeah, I kind of see it. I think public colleges, to me, I kind of like the idea. I mean, private colleges, I get. I mean, you know, it's too hard. I mean, if you go to USD, what do you pay? $50,000-$60,000 a year. It's an amazing college, but not everybody can afford that. And I'm not even sure if it's worth doing vouchers. I mean, I know they have a lot of vouchers now for high school. I tend to agree that community college and possibly public colleges can be subsidized by the state. And to be honest, they don't even need to be subsidized because they're endowments. I mean, I know a couple of the Ivy League schools now are paying everybody's tuition. Their endowments are billions of dollars. They can afford to pay it themselves.
Right.
You know? And which opens up great opportunity, right? Because then a lot of people don't go to college because they can't afford it. That's
right. Exactly.
You know? So, well, thank you.
No, I mean,
absolutely.
Basically, I mean, just to clarify things for our viewers, we love the country we chose to live in.
Yes.
We were born in. And, you know, hey, this is still the country of opportunity. Things can always be better. I think we just happen to have 3 people here who are like, you know, if we can help the not so fortunate a little more, or just create something, you know, just a net,
you
know, that they don't sink all the way through because they can't help themselves. You know, they're human beings. They need support.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all went through our personal crisis at one time or the other, you know, for reason whatsoever. And some people just never experienced that, you know, that they had people which helped them to continue or regain a life. And that's I think the difference. I mean, there's so much philanthropy in this country.
Right.
But this are just some people, and if we could, get the masses to embrace that idea, it would help everybody.
Right.
And after all, we don't want to run around like in the Wild West and having shootouts, which I think is still very primitive.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's hard for me to walk down the streets in San Diego and see so many poor people, so many people living on the streets, especially what happened on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad. I mean, I just don't understand why this, as a whole, as a city, as a human being, we should all get together and instead of talking about solutions and they take 10 to 20 years, come up with an answer and just do it,
Right.
Let's have no more homeless in San Diego. Let's make sure, everybody can eat in San Diego. And, more needs to come from the top. I mean, if I had $10 billion, I mean, I would give $1 billion to that. It's like 10% of that kind of income versus 10% of our income is nothing but 10% of their income. I mean, that could house every single person in San Diego.
Right, exactly.
Like local responsibility, maybe,
That's right.
Well, you know what? I hope that people are watching you and are going to use you and bring you closer to the goal to becoming a billionaire so you can give back to society.
Right.
I like that idea.
I'm okay with that. That's okay. I'll take that.
Right.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to make light of it.
No, that's funny.
We've been, talking for over an hour now, and that is usually the point when we are wrapping up.
Okay.
So, Jordan, thank you so much. I mean, if you have any advice for people which are in college and they want they want to have some additional earning.
Okay.
What would you
start investing now. Even if you're putting away $25 or $50, the compounded interest compounds. So you start with $10 in the first year, let's say 10%, you have $11 and then 10%. You start with $10,000. I don't know the exact number. I hear in 20 years, it turns into roughly, I believe, $400,000. Start now. If you start thinking of these things when you're 40 and 50, I mean, nobody in some states in California, nobody can live on Social Security. I mean, you just can't. So if you start now, start investing, get it in college. The biggest mistake I made is I didn't work through college. If I could go back, because I didn't realize how much I'd love working, get a part-time job when you're in college, but put a little bit away and continue to put that away. And at some point, if you want to get a house, it's a great idea for a younger person. Start now. Don't wait till you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s. Right. Social Security is not going to cover. I mean, it's not going to cover your life.
That's true.
I think that's good advice. So, Jordan, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been really fun, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, we touched on some wonderful topics and issues, It was awesome having you.
Well, thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. You too. We look forward to having you back.
Someday. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, Jordan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that went longer than we thought, I guess.
Well, when the conversation is good, there's, hey, keep on fueling it. And
that's why I cut it off. That's why I love, and we're still on. I just want to know our we're still on.
Oh yeah, I know we're still live.
and the beauty about our show is, we can decide how long it is.
Right.
And if someone, thinks it's too long, well, hey, you can always,
so you can fast forward or zoom forward.
Well, cheers.
All right. Cheers to our to our audience also, and if you've been watching us for quite some time, we just want to thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like, you can hit that little subscribe button and it'll let you know when we are going to be filming again. So we appreciate your support. And if at any time, our email addresses are on there. So if you guys would like to be a guest or you like to refer someone to be a guest on our show, you know, try to reach out to us. We'd love that. We would love that. And you don't have to live here in San Diego. So, you know, we can Zoom from anywhere.
Okay. Well, Liz.
All right. Take care.
Thank you to our viewers.
Thank you so much for your support.